Hey y'all, Candace here.
And Katie.
And welcome to Dead in the Heart of Texas, a Texas true crime and paranormal podcast where we tell you scary and true crime stories from the state of Texas, and that's super redundant. So we have a very special episode for you today. It is a lost episode, if you will, in that we found it on our laptop randomly. And we never uploaded it. So just a heads up, this was filmed in last May, way before...
Literally a year ago.
COVID-19 was a thing. So
that's why we might sound more youthful and hopeful.
Truly a year ago, yeah.
Yep.
More youthful and hopeful and more alive, and probably not as sad and worn out as we are right now. So yeah, we hope you're doing well, staying safe. Thank you to everyone out on the front lines, all of the essential workers. I hope that something really great happens to you this week. Do you have anything to add, Katie?
I think you covered it. I just want to say that hopefully, like Candace said, you all are staying home and being safe. And I know that Texas is supposed to open tomorrow. And...
Yes, because...
Oof. That's all I have to say about that. But if you guys don't feel safe leaving and you feel like you need to social isolate more, I feel like you should.
Yeah, do what you have to do. Stay safe, because the economy is not worth risking your life, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yep, because you don't want to end up on our podcast. That was mean. Okay.
As a ghost or as a murder victim? Either way, you don't want to end up as either. Cool. Well, I hope you enjoy this episode. Just a heads up, my story is extremely dark, so I apologize in advance. Also, I think we'll probably talk about it in the episode, but we had recorded this episode like 4 different times before finally getting one to stick. And once you hear the dark story I have to tell... you can understand. I think, no, you know what? I'm thinking now that in this podcast I do sound a bit tired because I'm like, I'm going to tell you the story again.
Well, that's okay.
Anyways.
Because the content, it always has a little bit of a bite to it, and it kind of keeps you awake even if you've heard it 1,000 times. So, I don't know how you guys feel about that.
But either way, I hope you enjoy. Well... We're finally recording. We have been working on this for almost 2 hours. How do we sound?
We better sound great.
Katie and I are finally recording together, face to face. I'm looking at you.
I know, and I look great, right?
Yeah. It feels weird recording, face to face because, face to face. We haven't done this before, but also I've been in Wisconsin for almost a week now. So I'm used to your face, so it doesn't quite have the same,
otherworldly effect.
Yeah. But man, has it been a doozy trying to record. So, I bought 2 mics, and I was so excited to use them. I tested mine out last night, and it worked just fine. Did some research prior on how to record with 2 mics, and I was like, yeah, seems fine. Except it wouldn't work.
Yeah. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, because it has been a few hours in the making trying to figure out how the heck to do it.
Yeah, so we gave up and we're working with 1 mic right now. We're recording both from the same mic. I hope to God it works. I'm just so fed up. I am your host, Candace.
And I'm Katie, your other host.
And welcome to Dead in the Heart of Texas. So, we're going to be filming a couple of episodes while I'm here.
Yeah, do you want to get started?
Do you want to get started? Let's just do a little bit of a life update.
Oh gosh.
For this episode.
Okay.
You're graduating.
I am graduating in 1 week from my undergrad, and so I'll be technically a professional violinist in 7 days.
Yeah, I was able to see her violin recital. She did amazing at that. Yesterday was the bridal shower, and today?
Yeah, that's right. I'm getting married in like 47 days. So.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Well.
How about you, Candace? You've been visiting me, and you've taken over the world, yeah?
Yeah, also a guy hit on me at Target today, so that was cool.
Yeah, she didn't even realize it, guys. This is how humble she is.
I'm just really clueless. I have no idea when people are trying to hit on me. Like, if you're hitting on me, you need to say, like, hey, you're cute. Want to get coffee? Otherwise, I'm not going to know.
Yeah, she was basically carrying a top around the store because, you know, if you don't want to be an impulse buyer, you carry the thing around with you to see if you like it. And he remarked on it, and we were all just, like, walking in the stationery section. And he was like, oh, yeah, my sister wears that. And he was, like, smiling at her with puppy dog eyes. And I was laughing my butt off the whole time. And she was just like, okay, thanks, see ya. And then I was like, you know he was hitting on you, right? And she didn't even realize it. So humble.
That's why I'm still single. I can't take hints.
That's okay. That's why you have me.
All right. I guess, shall we begin?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I can go first if you want.
Up to you. You were doing a ghost story, correct?
Yep, I am doing the haunted railroad tracks from San Antonio, Texas. Yep, they're basically just known as the haunted train tracks. Interesting thing about this is that it is a tale with many tales. And no one actually knows how it came to be, but I will start with one of the compelling ones that struck me. So basically, as I play with my other technology, because I am now learning how to use a Samsung iPad again. iPad, not an iPad. Oh no. Okay.
Crossover.
So, this is fun. I'm never gonna be sponsored. Okay. Basically, back in the 1920s, 1930s, one of the first tales was that a nun was driving a school bus full of her students back from a field trip or back from Sunday school. The exact facts tend to differentiate from one another on different sites. But essentially, all of them had fallen asleep, and then the bus stopped on a railroad, and she couldn't get it to start, and then all of a sudden a train came out of nowhere, and they think that the lights had stopped working, so she didn't have any warning. And so it was too late to wake up the children and get them off the bus safely, so she made one last-ditch effort to start the bus again, and unfortunately didn't work. Now, somehow she managed to survive, because she went through the windshield, which doesn't sound pleasant by any means, but she lived. But all the children died on the bus. And she felt very guilty, and she went back to the site shortly after the incident and was ready to kill herself because of her guilt. So while she was in her car waiting for a train to come, the car started to move. And it wasn't on or anything, but the car was pushed over the tracks, and she went around to the back and saw little handprints. Thought she heard voices or saw an apparition of one of the children. And she realized that the children were trying to save her from what happened to them, and from then on she made it her life's purpose to teach kids just to honor them.
So they were trying to save her.
Yep. And so that's where one of the tales.
But real quick, can you just imagine, trains are not quiet. There probably had to be some kids that woke up right before.
Yeah, especially when it gets that close, because even now, if you live across town from a railroad track, you can still hear it.
Yeah. Well, then again, I did hear that it's hard to hear it when it's oncoming at you for some reason. I forget the logistics of it.
Oh, it might be that the sound travels behind it.
Yeah.
And so if you're right in front of it, the sound won't go forward, or will go behind.
Yeah, because when I was going to school at Texas State, there had been 2 people right one after the other were hit by trains because they were walking on the tracks, and it was believed they didn't hear the train coming.
It's interesting. It kind of makes me think of Titanic and how they were wondering, how did you not see a freaking iceberg?
Oh, yeah.
And this will be a tale for another day, maybe another podcast, but I actually watched a documentary on Netflix because that's what I do instead of study. And they were saying there was actually a scientific phenomenon that might have prevented them from seeing it. Actually, we'll just get into it another time because I don't have the scientific lingo, but basically your eyes can play tricks on you. So, yeah.
Interesting.
So that was one of the most compelling stories about the haunted railroad tracks. A lot of people have heard this. I think, Candace, you mentioned that your mom has a personal story with this. But a lot of people have gone to these tracks to see the phenomenon themselves. And so one of the most popular things is to put baby powder on the back and then sit in the car and park it. Like, many people have actually claimed that the car has moved and they've seen tiny handprints. And then there have even been some like photos showing apparitions that look like they could be ghost children.
Well, do you want to hear my parents' story?
Sure.
Yeah. So, my mom and dad, when they were still together, I don't know if they were like still in high school or early 20s, something like that. But they went to the train tracks and they knew about the story. So they put baby powder on the back of their truck or car or whatever. But yeah, they saw tiny handprints on the truck, and they like felt the truck moving. So yeah, that's my personal story / my parents' personal story.
So, and another account of a ghostly apparition involves an actual ghost child. And so, an unnamed middle-aged woman, I don't know if I want my name open also, but she said while she was near the railroad tracks, she saw a young girl standing there, and so, being like a nice person, she offered to give this little girl a ride home. Mm-hmm. The girl got in the car and gave her directions to like a neighborhood that was behind the park. And when they arrived at the girl's house, the girl basically refused to get out of the car. Mm-hmm. And so the middle-aged woman assumed that, oh, she probably ran away and is nervous. So the woman, like, got out of the car and then went around to just be, like, encouraging. But the girl was gone, and the seatbelt was still fastened.
Nope.
This wasn't the only thing like that. So this had taken place near the railroad tracks in the neighborhood also. Yeah, so that's basically a common story. So I don't really know if I'd want to necessarily figure that out for myself. I'd probably scream in the street like a banshee if I actually saw a ghost. But, okay, so now for some interesting intrigue about the situation. So there was actually another railroad incident in Salt Lake City, Utah. Oh. And then that also happened in like the 1940s. People are starting to wonder if somehow these two incidents either became intertwined with one another because of the similar nature. Mm-hmm. But some sources say that there's actually no record of a crash like that in San Antonio. I don't know. I feel like that might show the power of intrigue and wanting to believe in that kind of stuff. But I don't know. That's really interesting, right?
Yeah. Several, like, ghost and paranormal shows have been to the San Antonio Railroad tracks, and they actually discovered that it's more of an optical illusion. The ground is unlevel, and so it looks sort of like you're going uphill, mm-hmm. but you're actually going downhill. So that could be a reason why people feel that their cars are being pushed.
Yeah, some people say gravity is actually doing the work for these ghosts, and so, but people want to believe. No, I guess that's up to you.
Well, the only thing that I have is how come people see ghost hands.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am too.
You know what? I'm going to text my mom and see if I just didn't make up that story, or if maybe that was just a story she used to scare me, because I wouldn't put it past her.
Actually, do you mind if I read a quote from one of the, witnesses who did this experiment themselves?
Go for it.
So this is from GhostCityTours.com, and the person says, I know many dispute the legend of the railroad track ghosts. However, I was witness to one very indisputable event there in my late teens, early 20s. I once went over in my convertible with a new parakeet in the car. The bird had been chirping happily until we staged the vehicle for the tracks, when suddenly his chirping was completely silent. So I don't know if anyone else has heard this, but I know animals are supposed to be very susceptible to otherworldly type things, right? Mm-hmm. Or even, like, I've heard that if you're not a good person and your dog hates someone, you should look out.
Like in you.
Yes, exactly. And so, to go on, this person said, it wasn't until we left the area that he began to chirp again. Curious by her bird's reaction, this person decided to try the baby powder legend out for herself, saying, I used the baby powder on my car. I had multiple small handprints. But these handprints did not belong to me. I had no children anywhere around my car previously.
and was extremely meticulous about the appearance of my car. When one washes their car with dish soap, oils from hands are removed, so no prints will return. I feel like next time I visit, we should definitely try this out. And this is going to be on Shane Road, is where the tracks are, if any of you guys want to try it out for yourself.
Sorry, I was just thinking of Shane from BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yeah, I feel like he'd be happy with that. Hey, if you're listening for this, Candace is single.
I know you're in a happy relationship, and I think y'all are super cute. Please don't ever listen to this podcast.
It's okay. Let's see. But I don't know. I think it's very interesting. Like, the story seems very simple. Like, a children ghost trying to protect people, which I also think is very sweet. And I always think of, like, ghosts as being malicious, but I feel like these children are very benevolent, and they just want to protect others from what they had to experience.
Like the ghost kids from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
I don't think I've gotten to that part, so thanks for the spoilers.
Oops.
Oh, I'm reading an interesting part from the San Antonio, I guess, center of this kind of stuff. And they're basically like, if you want to go, we can promise a ghost sighting, but enjoy. I don't know. And some other accounts that I've read online that goes along with the intrigue, they've actually said that some streets are actually named after the children now. So that just adds to the mystery to me of, like, if this event never happened, where is all this information coming from? And I really just want to try out the baby powder thing for myself.
Yeah, for sure. So my mom hasn't gotten back to me yet. But, no, I would like to know... It's interesting where something becomes fact and then when it's turned into a legend.
Exactly, because they have, like, a bunch of newspaper articles from the San Antonio Express, and so it looks like it's completely factual. So, like, if we were to dig through all the archives, I feel like we would find many stories like this. And your mom just replied.
She said years ago. That's very...
That's vague.
That's very vague, Mom. Hang on.
I really am just fascinated with not being able to hear a train coming right at you. Because I feel like even when I'm, like, parking now and I hear no train is coming and I'm stopped, I feel like the sound is just so abrasive. You know what I mean?
It's also the vibrations. I feel like if you can't necessarily hear it, you should still be able to feel it coming. That's what she said. No comment on that.
No comment.
I was proud of that joke. But no, you
you don't have a sense of humor, guys. That's just the obvious part, right?
And I have the humor of a 12-year-old. And I can just picture it, like, the nun in her little, like, black and white habit, uniform, whatever. She's, like, stuck on the tracks, just trying to start the car. It's not starting. And then just, like, one little kid kind of hears it, and they open their eyes.
I know, that's so tragic.
And then they see a train coming, and it's just, like,
the last thing they
screaming, and then black.
Yeah, that's very, not pleasant. I don't know, I think something to leave the people with, though. I think if they do embark on this, experiment themselves, if they do happen to encounter these apparitions and ghost children, I think it's one of the few instances I can say don't be afraid of them, because they actually are just trying to help you. According to another source, a child ghostly apparition that appears often is also a girl who is clutching a teddy bear. So if you see her, please don't be afraid.
That's just what she wants you to think.
Yeah,
she's a demon.
Don't unlock the car, but don't be afraid.
She's a black-eyed kid.
Just, I don't know. Listen to the rest of the episodes to understand that.
Children of the Corn. Praise Jesus, praise corn.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna keep hydrating.
Just keeping hydrated by drinking beer. Oh, please don't spit out your beer.
Don't worry.
We've had enough technical difficulties to last me for like 10 years.
Okay, you just, jinxed yourself, so you're gonna have them for another 20.
7 years of bad luck.
That's basically it for this side. And some other incidents have occurred in San Antonio, New Braunfels, like I said, Salt Lake City.
Really, in New Braunfels?
Yes.
Look, my mom just likes something on Facebook, but she has not responded to me.
I guess she doesn't want to be a part of our awesome podcast.
I'm gonna call her.
Okay, let's do this.
It's been a while since I called her.
Don't be like us. Okay. That's okay.
It was my Nana who texted me.
You're human.
I didn't even look to see who it was. Texted both of them. She said the car rolled, but we could not see any handprints.
So I guess that just leaves it up to you guys. Do you think it is just gravity taking its course, or do you think it's these children? Yep. Okay, Candace.
Okay.
So I believe you have a true crime story to share.
I do have a true crime story to share, but first, before I get started, I wanted to thank my good friend John for editing this for us. He's been doing an amazing job because I do a crappy job at it. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Hope I didn't give you too much of a headache with this episode. What else? Also, he's the one that's been adding those mysterious Morse codes you hear at the end of each episode.
Oh.
If you think you figured it out, tweet at us at DITHOT podcast and tell us which episode you're on and what you think it is.
I guess I would also thank John. And yeah, because people who are great with technology are definitely different from me. So I appreciate that gift and talent, and maybe I will learn from you one day.
Help us, we're stupid.
Yeah.
When it comes to technology. We're smart in other ways, though.
I can play violin.
Katie's amazing at violin.
Okay, Candace, blow us away with a very probably creepy story.
Yeah.
It's that time of the night.
I have hiccups.
Yay, that's scary enough.
Let's just jump into it. This is a really bummer of a story to tell for the third time over. Let's just see. First time we recorded it, the audio file cut out after 2 minutes. And then the second time, the audio recording cut out, after 10 minutes.
Yay.
So, we'll see where this goes. But basically, I will be doing the story of the Austin Yogurt Shop Girls. The Yogurt Girl Murders. It is still an open case in Austin, Texas. So, one cold winter night on December 6, 1991, a yogurt shop named I Can't Believe It's Yogurt was robbed and set on fire. Officer Troy Gary, who was patrolling the area at the time, noticed the smoke and alerted the firemen. So upon arriving, they distinguished the flames, and they found 3 bodies stacked on top of each other, and there was one other body off to the side. They were the bodies of Amy Ayers, 13, Jennifer Harbison, 17, her sister Sarah, who was 15, and Eliza Thomas, 17. Jennifer and Eliza worked at the shop together, and they were the closing staff that day, so they were the only ones working at the time. Sarah and Amy had spent all day at the nearby North Cross Mall, and they had gone to the yogurt shop to get a ride because they were planning a sleepover. After spending the day at the mall, they either hitched a ride or they walked a few blocks down West Anderson Lane to the Hillside Shopping Center, where the yogurt shop was, and they made it there estimated time by 10 p.m.
Okay.
Detective Sergeant John Jones was assigned to the case. Upon arriving on the scene and seeing the girls, his first words were, "Holy shit." They were naked, bound, and gagged using their own clothes, and their legs were spread wide apart, suggesting they had been sexually assaulted.
Good evening to you.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
As you can see, I'm so thrilled to be filming this episode again for the third time. Each had been shot in the head, leading police to believe they were dead before the fire started. They were so badly burnt that they were all unrecognizable except for one. Not even their race could be identified. This day was termed as the day Austin lost its innocence, because up until this point, they hadn't had anything that drastic and just completely awful. In recent memories, that is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like Austin isn't exactly known as being innocent.
No, at least not in the 1800s with the servant girl annihilator. Anyways, the autopsy reports were not allowed for the public eye because of the brutalness and the unusualness of it. So this is something that rarely happens in Travis County. Normally, death records and autopsy reports are open to the public and anyone can view them. So one of the reasons probably why it was closed was because Amy's body was the least burned, and the report showed that she had been sexually assaulted, There was an ice cream scoop found between her legs. Yeah. So the murder was placed somewhere between 10 p.m. and 11:30. 2 men were convicted and admitted to killing the young woman and were released in 2009 for lack of evidence. So, before you get outraged, let me tell you why. Police have DNA of the suspected perpetrator and they're still looking for him. Nearly 50 people have admitted to murdering them, but none of them had evidence to support that.
So why would they admit to doing something they didn't do?
Oh, we'll get to that. Okay. So the 4 main suspects. Suspect number 1 is Maurice Pierce, who was 16 at the time. He was questioned by police 8 days after the murder. He had been picked up carrying a .22 rifle, which was one of the 2 guns used to kill the girls. He was also at the mall the same day the girls were, which led police to believe that he might have followed him to the yogurt shop and he saw an opportunity and took it. He told police that his friend, Forrest Wellborn, 15, had borrowed his gun and killed the girls. Wellborn claimed he had nothing to do with the murders and said that night him, Pierce, and 2 of his friends named Robert Burns Springsteen Jr. and Michael Scott, both 17, had stolen a car and drove to San Antonio that night.
You guys, this is the 3rd time I've heard this story, and I still can't get over some of those names.
Yeah, first of all, it took me everything in my power not to say Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. And then, of course, Michael Scott for anyone who watches The Office. Robert Burns Springsteen Jr.
Yeah, that's not easy to say.
No.
And Michael Scott, everybody knows what the name that is.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, so they claim they stole a car that night and drove to San Antonio, partying on the town. Jones did not believe they were guilty, and he let them go. His main reason for that was that there wasn't really enough evidence, and they seemed like pretty stupid boys. To put it nicely. Anyways, so he was taken off the case after that, and Detective Hector Polanco was put on the case. On October 6, 1999, the 4 men were arrested again. This time they were all like 23 to 25 years old. However, the charges were dropped against Wellborn and Pierce, but Springsteen and Scott went to trial. It was believed that Austin police coerced a confession from them, as Detective Hector Polanco was fired for coercing a confession on another case. But I think that this was after this whole thing. Austin had lived in fear for 10 years, and the people wanted the person behind bars, which is probably a reason that Detective Hector Polanco felt so much pressure to solve this case, and probably why he coerced a confession from them, which is not a good excuse.
Yeah, it's really not.
No.
Like, I can see why people would want the criminal behind bars, but doesn't mean you should just arrest somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Where there was maybe circumstantial evidence at best.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only law term I actually know. Elle Woods would be proud.
Elle Woods would be so proud. So Scott had been interrogated for 12 hours on one day, and again the next day for nearly 8 hours. So basically no rest, just constant interrogation. And I do have a little excerpt of what the interrogation was. Alright, I'm going to put my my acting skills to use here. So, you hear a police officer say, "Well, what did you use to tap the girls?" And Scott says, Venetian blind cords? Not Venetian blind cords.
So preppy Venetian.
I know. He was an interior design major. He says, napkins? You can't tie somebody up with napkins. And it went on until he guessed the correct method of tying them up.
Guessed.
Real quick, do you remember what they were tied up with? And if you guess the wrong answer, you'll have to chug your drink. Or take a sip.
Do I remember? I cannot remember. Was it the curtains?
Yeah. It wasn't Venetian curtains, but it was, I don't know any other type of curtains, so never mind.
Is that right?
No, they had been tied up with their own clothes.
Oh, I thought it was something I hadn't heard already.
So. Oh, no.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I guess I can chug my drink.
You don't have to chug your drink.
I'll take a sip because I want to take a sip.
We should do like shots. Shots.
Very tasty. Okay.
Anyways, so once he finally guessed the correct method of tying them up, he said, "Well, if you guys say so, I guess I was there, But I don't think I was.
Did you ever see that one? What is it called if it's like a movie about a true event where they're reenacting the events?
A biopic?
A biopic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They made one of those about the girl Amanda Knox.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about, but I've never seen it.
No, there's like, they show the interrogation, how she was literally in there for like days. With like no water, no nothing. And they were like interrogating her. And so I'm just picturing this here. Only not Amanda Knox and a random dude being like, I don't know, socks, tissue, toilet paper, you know what I mean?
A shoelace?
Air.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know, why would you want
Ice
people
cream?
to read this? Okay.
Anyways, like I said, these guys weren't the smartest, and these police officers were very, very crooked. But Springsteen had confessed to raping Ayers, and he was convicted of capital murder and sentenced to death in September of 2002.
Oh, Bruce.
Scott was convicted of capital murder, but received life in prison. So Pierce was in jail until 2003 when the charges against him were dropped. In 2006, Springsteen's conviction was overturned on account of an unfair trial. So basically, the conviction was overturned due to violations against the Sixth Amendment, which is the right to cross-examine witnesses. So what happened was they used Scott's confessions against him, but since Scott did not testify against Springsteen in court, he couldn't be cross-examined against. That was illegal, and they were able to get those convictions overturned. Oh, sorry, what?
I was just gonna say, so you have to be careful and make sure you do it all by the book.
You gotta do the cooking by the book.
Oh, yeah.
Turn her crazy. I still have to show you that video. It's very catchy. Make a tasty recipe. Okay. Anyways, so 2 years later, in 2008, Springsteen and Scott's DNA was finally tested against the DNA they were able to extract from the bodies of the girls, and it came back, drumroll please, negative. They are not the rapists.
And murderers.
Ooh, and murderers. Yeah, so they definitely did not do it. So, since then, 7 of the jurors that convicted them have now said that they would not have convicted them if they were presented this evidence during the trial.
So what exactly was presented during the trial? I'm very curious.
Well, apparently we know their cross-examinations, but I have no idea what else was, at the trial. Perhaps maybe, the gun he had, which was, one of the same guns used to kill the girls. There's 2 different guns used in these murders, which made me believe that probably was at least 2 gunmen. And then another thing I completely forgot about was supposedly people had seen 2 strange men in the yogurt shop prior to closing, they were still in there while the girls were putting the chairs on top of the table, but no one knows who these men were or when they left. So it's probably those guys, but who's to say? So anyways, they were finally released in 2009. There is now a memorial plaque in the parking lot where the yogurt shop stood. It's now called Classy Nail Salon. And the workers will leave food and coins on the plaque every day. And every Chinese New Year, they give them red envelopes filled with money. The mothers of the girls will go there occasionally to get their nails done as well.
Yeah, I still don't think I could go to a location where someone I know and loved is murdered.
No, I imagine that must be very difficult, but I wonder if it's also a sense of being close to them again.
That's fair. But I'm also wondering, just realistic-wise, yeah, do you want to open a business here? People were murdered here, but it's been a while.
Yeah. It's kind of like every white person in a horror movie that they're let's move into this house.
Oh, gosh.
It looks completely haunted and people have died here, but
hey, there's a creepy...
whatever. It's a good deal.
Hey, there's a creepy noise. I'm just gonna keep wandering around in the dark. Oh.
Katie was there's a creepy noise, and as soon as she said that, something fell in the house.
It's oh. It's just I always go crazy when I watch scary movies, and they're there's something in the house, and then they don't turn on the lights, they just keep wandering around and then trip, and I'm you idiot, turn on the stupid light switch.
Don't even get me started on The Conjuring, when she walks down the stairs.
For those of you who ever might find yourself in a situation, just turn on the stupid light switch, okay?
Yeah, just turn the lights on, or better yet, just throw a gallon of holy water in that direction.
Yeah, just
Just
don't move in the
toss it.
house. Don't be those people from American Horror Story Season 1. You're like, people have been murdered here, that's fine, we'll stay anyway. Like, don't do it. Just don't. Continue, Candace.
We're getting way off topic, and I don't know if any of that is something people want to listen to, so if you're still here, let me wrap up this story. For anyone who lived in Austin during this time, for years there used to be a billboard off of I-35 with the words, "Who killed these girls?" featuring their pictures on them. And then again, a not-so-fun fact, which almost makes me think that possibly Pierce, the guy who was first arrested, was one of the killers, was that Pierce was killed in 2010 after a routine traffic stop in which he ran from police. When tackled, he sliced open an officer's neck, and then the police officer shot and killed Pierce.
Still wish I knew if the police officer survived.
I think he did.
Okay.
I didn't see anything that said he didn't.
Okay, that's...
And the
nice
fact
to
that he
know.
was able to, like,
Shoot.
shoot back.
There is that whole thing, like, if you do get in trouble and then manage to escape, you'll probably end up being caught again.
Yeah.
So...
It definitely seems like he had a life of crime starting from an early age.
yeah...
Real quick, before we go on to the tarot card reading and wrap this baby up, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to my friend John, who is the one who is editing these and providing those lovely Morse code clips at the end. If you think you have an idea on what those Morse code clips mean, you can tweet us the episode name and the message you think it says at DITHOT podcast. Or you can email us at deadintheheartoftexas@gmail.com. Alright, let me get those tarot cards.
Okay, this time you draw it.
Alright. So the card I drew is... Are you sure you don't want to draw?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Shit.
What? That would just be better.
Oh my god!
What?
It's
Is
the
it Grim Reaper?
devil!
Oh!
Oh my
It just
god.
means we have to watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch thing.
That just means that, the unholy one is here.
Oh.
No, kidding. I think it does mean we need to watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh my gosh, I've never drawn that card.
Guys, I think that
I told you.
I think he's probably just behind the computer glitches.
Satan, is that you again? You trickster. I don't even know where he is in this book. Hashtag hot messes.
Well, at least my card looks great now.
Yeah. So, okay. The devil means addiction and negativity. Though it may feel frightening when the devil appears in your reading, this card carries an urgent message and must be interrupted with total honesty. The darkness of the devil card takes the form of addiction, negativity, or materialism. So the last time we did the tarot card reading, it talked about materialism. It can indicate an ugly relationship with a person or substance. Identify this dependency and how it's holding you back. The devil's hopes are strong and relentless. Their grip will not loosen unless a conscious change is made for yourself. Keep that in mind. Until next time.
Yeah, guys. Don't be like us.
I'm so sorry if this episode is a mess. We were just so angry. I had to film this a third time. Katie just had to hear it for a third time.
It's a great day when you hear about the Austin Yogurt Girl Girlers.
The Girlers.
Girlers.
The Girlers.
Yeah.
The Austin Yogurt Girlers. That sounds like a roller derby team.
Yeah, let's hope not. I think that's just a bad omen in itself.
Well, until next time, kids, remember, don't let in any black-eyed kids.
Yeah.